Hello, welcome back. Today, I'm going to be discussing the Congressional Oversight Committee regarding the Trump attempted assassination. I watched over 4 hours of a bipartisan group questioning the United States Secret Service director, the Secret Service director, for 4 hours as she was grilled by a bipartisan group of representatives about her involvement or lack of involvement in the Trump assassination. Now, I'm going to jump straight into a video, and this is Representative Raja Krishmurthy. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But you're going to get a sense of what 4 hours of questioning looked like from the director. Now, before I start this, I said on numerous occasions, this whole thing with Trump needs to be looked at as a criminal investigation from the top to the bottom. Something like this does not happen without people from the very top. Now, we're going to see how far something like this can go up. But I've said on numerous occasions, this looks like an inside job. How everything was lined up, set up for Trump to be assassinated. Now, as you're watching this, I put together a few clips here of this over 4 hour grilling of this director. You're going to see let's just call this, if this was a criminal investigation, she would be what you would call a uncooperative witness. Uncooperative. I'm going to let this play out so you can see.
Director Cheadle, as you know, the shooter began shooting at 6:11 p.m. Eastern on July 13th. NBC reported that at 5:51 p.m., 20 minutes before the shooting began, the state police informed the Secret Service of their concern. Now, the rally was not paused at that point, correct?
No.
And according to NBC, just 2 minutes later, at 5:53 p.m., the Secret Service notified its snipers about the gunman. The rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
No.
Let me show you some video footage by rally goers. If you could play the video on the screen up here. This was taken 2 minutes before the shooting started. If you could turn up the volume.
We have people that
Ma'am, that doesn't look like suspicious behavior. That looks like threatening behavior to me. And the rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
I can tell you, as I stated earlier, sir, that the moment that the shift surrounding the president were aware of an actual threat.
That's a threat, right there. The guy's on the roof and everybody's yelling at him.
Yes.
And directing the officer's attention to him. The rally was not paused at that point, correct?
We are currently still combing through communications and when communications were passed.
Well, I can point you to this communication. It's 2 minutes before the shots started ringing out. Director Cheadle, yes or no? Was there ever a moment where the Secret Service actually considered pausing the rally?
The Secret Service would have paused the rally had they known or been.
So the answer is no.
An actual threat.
The answer is no. Correct?
I can speak to you in generalities.
No, I don't want generalities. I
No,
want specifics.
communication.
The answer is no. You did not consider pausing the rally, correct?
The people that are in charge of protecting the president on that day would never bring the former president out if there was a threat that had been identified.
Well, they did, because we've now identified 3 points in the 20 minutes before the shooting that the threat emerged. Let me point you to something else, which is the building that the shooter was perched on, seen here. This building is called the AGR building. I'm sure that...
I need you to take a look at this. This is the distance from where Trump was giving his speech and to where the shooter was at. Now let me bring you back to this video here. I'm gonna go back to Mr. Representative Roger, but this point right here.
This is the Trump stage, and just above him is the audience section where a selected number of people is seated. This structure is also very important as it is where the Secret Service personnel are located and snipers are positioned.
These gentlemen right here on top of that building that I pointed to in the previous video, let's just call these particular groups, this particular group of snipers, the Secret Service snipers, Sniper 1. This group here were watching the shooter we just got for almost 3 minutes before the shot was fired. When I first heard about this, I said, why didn't they take the shot? The very first thing that came out when talking about these gentlemen right here, Sniper 1, was that there are protocols in place to where they can't take a shot until the sniper takes the shot. I said, how does that make any sense? But guess what? It doesn't make any sense. There's a term here called compromised authority. Compromised authority means the authority to execute the mission without specified permission if the assault force is compromised. Meaning, these two snipers at any given time could have taken the shot to take out the sniper. At any time to take out the sniper. But they chose to wait until after the sniper let off close to 6 shots at the president, one hitting him and one killing a former fire chief in the audience protecting his family. Literally blew his head up with the same bullets that were going after Trump. I'm gonna let this video play.
Finally, beyond this building where the shooter set up his sniper location. A quick note, the distance from the shooter Thomas Crook to Trump stage is around 137 meters, which translates to around 450 feet. While the distance between the shooter and the Secret Service sniper position is around 134 meters, which is approximately 440 feet.
Take a good look at this. The sniper can see the shooter can see the sniper, the sniper can see Trump, the shooter can see Trump and the sniper. They're all in view of one another. They were all in view of one another. They could see each other. The sniper and the shooter could see each other. Keep this in mind. They were alerted about the shooter close to 1 hour before he eventually took shots at the president. He was labeled a suspicious subject. Not just that, he was walking around with a rangefinder, something that is used to measure distances. Let me go back to Mr. Roger.
you're familiar with it. It's no more than 150 yards from the stage where Donald Trump stood, yet the security perimeter was drawn such that the AGR building was placed outside of it. Director Cheadle, according to the Washington Post, the AR-15 style rifle used in the shooting had a range of 400 to 600 yards, and therefore the AGR building was clearly within rifle range of the stage, correct?
Yes,
NBC News has reported that in the days before the rally, the Secret Service had identified the building as a vulnerability that required special attention, correct?
that's reporting from NBC.
Yes.
So I am still looking into an active investigation.
I know, but it's been 9 days. I mean, you should know that, right? And yet, despite the fact that the AGR building was in rifle range of the stage, and it was flagged as a vulnerability, this building was put outside of the Secret Service's security perimeter. And I respectfully submit the Secret Service must expand its security perimeter to account for the kinds of weapons that can be used outside the perimeter to endanger the protectees inside the perimeter, ma'am. Let me turn your attention to some conspiracy theories that have been circulating and ask you to...
I'm gonna pause that there. Now keep in mind, for this entirety, this 4-hour grilling of this director of the Secret Service, she very rarely gave any complete answers. All the answers that she gave, when we tried to get questions answered on what she knew, she always directed them to the FBI because there is a criminal investigation going on that's being done by the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, alongside the investigation that the United States Secret Service is doing. These two investigations are going on simultaneously, and they're in direct contact with one another. But whenever she's questioned about what is being stated, she will never answer the questions. What do I mean not answer them? She's being grilled. She's in front of a bipartisan group of United States representatives in which she was subpoenaed to be at. Not just that, under oath, and will not answer direct questions. Not by 1, 2, 3, 4, close to 30 representatives had questioned this director. And when she was confronted with direct answers on what was happening and where we're at in this investigation, she declined to answer. She always directed her answers towards the Federal Bureau of Investigations. She wanted to look at their findings before she even gave a statement. Now, I did a show not too long ago where I talked about what they're doing. This thing is called plausible deniability. What is plausible deniability? Plausible deniability is the ability to deny knowledge of a responsibility for actions taken by others, often in a formal or informal chain of command. It can also refer to a statement or explanation that seems likely to be true or valid. For example, some might claim plausible deniability if they say they didn't know about something or weren't responsible for it in a way that seems possibly true. Let me give you another. This is off Wikipedia. Plausible deniability is the ability of people, typically senior officials in a formal or informal chain of command, to deny knowledge or responsibility for actions committed by one or on behalf of members of their own organization. They may do so because of lack of evidence that can confirm their participation, even if they were personally involved in it or at least willfully ignorant of the actions. Remember, the plausible deniability thing is, listen, I wasn't there, I may have been in control of it, but I had nothing to do with it. You're going to have to ask the people who were involved with what they were doing, because I don't know. I wasn't there. But they were in charge of the whole thing. They always pass the buck on to someone else. These agencies will do this forever. When confronted on answers, you need to go to the FBI. So when you go to the FBI, no, you need to go back to the director. They were there. We weren't there. We just investigating it. Then when go back to the United States Secret Service. You need to look at the report that the FBI did. They did the investigation. Pay very close attention to this. Remember, I did this the other day talking about the exact same thing. I said that we are in a tyranny. And what does a tyranny look like? All parties must be in agreement. Pay attention to this. This is me speaking on exactly what I'm talking about right now. I just did this the other day. We're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of what's going on right now in the United States of America in the year 2024. The United States is under what some would call a tyranny. A tyranny. Let me give you a quick Google search on what the word tyranny means. A government in which all power is in the hands of a single ruler. Harsh, cruel, and severe government or conduct. A tyrannical act. A tyranny, a cruel, harsh, and unfair government in which persons or a small group of people have power over everyone else. Pay attention to this part right here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're at today in the year 2024. Now, you're going to have your local news shows, your podcasters, the people that you get your news from, your media. You're going to get everything else said about what's going on in this country besides this word, tyranny. This is what it looks like. Now, in a tyranny, in order for it to be run effectively, you need all parties to be in agreement. You're going to need the politicians, certain politicians, you're going to need media, and you're going to need, let's just say, these agencies, whether it be any of these agencies, intelligence agencies. Now, I'm going to go into that later. Did you get that? The reason why she won't give an answer until she sees the report from the FBI, they want to make sure that everyone is in agreement on what they have to say. They want to make sure that they cross every T and drop every I before they put this package together that they're going to give this commission or who's ever going to be investigating this. Do you understand? That's the problem right there. This needs to be looked at as a criminal investigation from the top to the bottom. There's no way that something like this happens, something gets lined up the way it did, without there being some agency or some shadowy group inside the government having their hands involved in this. This is what a tyranny looks like. This is what a conspiracy looks like. This is not new. This is not new. We've seen this before when we're dealing with Kennedy. We've seen this before. I'm talking about both Kennedy brothers. We've seen this before with the World Trade Center. We've seen this with the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. I've talked about this on numerous occasions. I talked about a United States Secret Service agent talking about Reagan, the Reagan assassination, which he wasn't even involved in. He said that there was a type of conspiracy that involved Ronald Reagan in his attempted assassination. You're having the son of Bobby Kennedy, John F. Kennedy Jr., talking about the CIA had their hands involved in the killing of President Kennedy. We've seen this before. This is not anything new. There's nothing new under the sun in regards to this. These shadowy groups have been moving in the government for quite possibly hundreds of years, doing this type of thing, going all the way back to Lincoln, the Lincoln conspiracy. This is what it looks like. If you don't do something about bringing this stuff into light, the only thing you do is teaching the future on how to get rid of it. We're in a unique place right now in history where we're getting a former president who just had an attempted assassination on him. He has the ability to get in that office and clean this stuff out. You can't have these agencies investigating themselves, and then you're giving them time to get their stories together when this should be looked at as a criminal investigation. The Secret Service director, she didn't willfully go up there to speak to them. She was subpoenaed. She was put under oath and blatantly did not answer direct questions. Let me bring you back to this. There was one of the representatives. Let me get back to this one. Where is this one at?
I did.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you recognize that this was your failure. Now, since the assassination attempt, you are under oath, reminding you.
Under oath.
Have you communicated with anyone at the White House on an encrypted messaging app like Signal? Yes or no?
No, I have not.
Are you willing to surrender your personal phone for analysis?
If I am required to do so.
That was probably the most, that made more sense than anything that was probably said throughout this whole hearing. Let me get this young lady's name, cause she hit it right on the head. Lauren Boebert. Hope I pronounced Boebert. She literally told the Secret Service director, I want to see your personal phone. Are you in communication with anybody at the White House using secret apps? We want to see your personal device. Let me go back to that.
Killed? You are under oath, reminding you. Have you communicated with anyone at the White House on an encrypted messaging app like Signal? Yes yes or no?
No, I have not.
Did you see how long it took for her? I'm talking about the director to answer that. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I wouldn't dare do that. That was the longest pause of any question she was asked throughout the whole entire congressional grilling.
Are you willing to surrender your personal phone for analysis?
If I am required to do so.
Okay.
That's what a criminal investigation looks like. We want to see your personal devices. We want to know who you've been talking to. We want to know what type of secrets you have, director of the Secret Service. We want to know your secrets. What did you know?
Okay. I will look into making that request because I would like to see your personal phone to see if you're communicating over encrypted messaging apps. Have you ever turned down enhanced security requests from Donald Trump's detail, his special agent in charge, Sean Curran? Have you ever turned that down?
No, I have not.
Have there been, has your team, has the Secret Service? Maybe not you personally.
I believe, as I mentioned earlier, there are times when requests are made for.
And you have
assets,
denied them, they have been denied.
And a denial doesn't.
Has the Trump campaign made requests for additional assets?
You just saw it play out right there. Plausible deniability. I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. I had nothing to do with that. But the people under your command that you supervise did. Donald Trump, just like any other representative in this country, they're at a heightened security alert right now because of things that are happening overseas, in particular with Iran. Every single state representative, especially Trump, is on high alert right now. These are the words out of the Secret Service. Donald Trump and his group have been asking for enhanced security for months, on numerous occasions, asking for enhanced security. They have been denied every single time. And not just denied, they were put in a situation at the Butler Fairground where the security was lackluster. Lackluster. Let this play. Let me let this play.
That have been denied?
Denial doesn't mean vulnerability.
Have there been additional requests for enhanced security at Mar-a-Lago?
We have made a number of enhancements to.
You confirmed that there were bomb-sniffing dogs that were provided. You failed to confirm if there were aerial security surveillance assets that were provided. So yes or no, was that provided?
At the
rally, yes ma'am.
We had Overwatch provided at the rally.
You've confirmed that the assassin was identified as suspicious 57 minutes prior to the shooting. Was the suspicious individual ever approached by an agent? Was any contact ever made with him?
Not to my knowledge.
Is that the standard protocol for someone who is identified as suspicious?
The protocol would be to locate the individual and.
And you said that he was located 2 to 5 times approximately?
No, I said that the information was passed potentially somewhere between 2 to 5.
And he was never located by an agent?
To my knowledge, that individual was not located by an agent.
We have dozens of rally goers who have identified him and not one agent on the ground. There are many agents on the ground. Local law enforcement, Secret Service. No one was able to identify him and have sights on and see him.
Listen. The shooter was first seen and was labeled suspicious close to an hour before he let off the shots at former President Donald Trump. A full hour. Do you understand? Out of all the talking that this Secret Service director did. She did make one statement, and she gave a timestamp. She said that 3 minutes prior to the shots being rang off, that the shooter was spotted on the roof, and he was at an elevated status as a threat towards former President Donald Trump. She did say that. 3 minutes these snipers had them in view. No one gave the order to pause the rally. No one gave the order to take down the sniper or the shooter, the assailant. None of that. Almost 3 minutes. The sniper one had him in his crosshairs for a full 3 minutes, and no one did anything until after he let off those shots, which were intended to kill the president. But by the grace of God, literally a head's turn away from having his brains blown out on national TV, very similar to what happened in the past with sitting President Kennedy. This is nothing new. The Kennedy brothers were saying the exact same thing close to 60 years ago, that they were in a fight against organized crime in this country. The same type of back and forth between these politicians, if you look at the Warren Committee videos and the paper, you're seeing the exact same thing play out. Plausible deniability. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't say anything. Everyone's passing the buck. Nothing ever gets resolved. Even to this day, the son of Bobby Kennedy, John F. Kennedy Jr., is asking for all the records to be made public regarding a former sitting senator who was assassinated. And he still hasn't gotten it. Oh, the president, Joe Biden, even said, look, go ahead and release the papers. When he goes to ask for them to get their complete report, things are blotted out, certain things are kept from him. He can't even get a full story on what happened. The same thing you're seeing play out here is happening all over again. All over again. Let me let this play.
Have the ability to neutralize a threat at the time
So you don't know,
see it.
I'm sorry, you don't know the communication that was taking place or how long he had it in his sights because you haven't spoke to him, but you do know that there was no order to hold fire.
I can tell you the way that our personnel are trained. They are trained on the use of force scale, that when they see a threat, they are authorized to neutralize that threat. They don't have to ask for permission.
You excuse the roof being unmanned because of the slope. Do you stand by that assertion?
The roof was not covered with an individual on it because there was overwatch provided.
Apparently not. No, there was no overwatch provided. This is very evident. President Trump was shot. A man died. There was no oversight provided. I find this rather maddening, especially now knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, who you have been passing the buck to this entire hearing, not answering a congressional hearing, members of Congress, while you are under oath and under a subpoena. I find it maddening that the director that our country has come centimeters away from oblivion under your watch. You have answers. You are refusing to give those to us, directing us to the FBI, and this entire thing is a waste of time. You are responsible for the loss of a life and the shooting that took place on President Trump. You do need to resign. This is bipartisan. You need to be fired.
Let me bring you back to this. Plausible deniability. No evidence, no crime equals plausible deniability. No evidence, no crime. Plausible deniability. Everything that was happening there, she was directing. Every time a question was asked, when we tried to get an answer about what was happening, we couldn't even get a direct answer on how many bullet shells were found on the roof of the building the shooter was at. You know what her response was? I'm gonna have to direct you to the FBI for that, with their investigation. When she was asked, do you know how many shells were on the roof? She said yes. But before I can give you the answer, I'm gonna have to direct you to the FBI. Plausible deniability. You never get an answer to anything. All of this is just show. Everything is just talk. Over and over and over again. Nothing ever gets resolved. They'll do this forever. No one is held accountable. Nothing changes. They even asked her, has anyone been fired because of this? No. Has anyone been suspended? No. Has anyone been trained after this? No, no, no. You know what? Let me bring you to this one right here. I talked about plausible deniability. I'm going to wrap this up real quick with this young lady right here. This is Miss McLean. And throughout this whole thing, she gave a very passionate speech on what happened or what didn't happen during this whole attempted assassination. I need you to listen to this young lady in her entirety. I'm gonna let this play.
Answer to the question. You just refuse to answer the question from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here. Is there a different answer to that question?
I was always willing to come here and testify before this oversight hearing.
Beautiful. Then let's do that. Let's for once have your actions match your words. So you've been in communication with the FBI. You know the answers, and you refuse to tell us the answers. So I will ask you again. You know how many shell casings were on that roof. What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent.
What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent to talk to you about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related.
I'm asking you an answer to the question. If you're supposed to be in charge, if the buck stops with you, how come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up?
What are
you hiding, my friend?
What are you hiding?
I'm not covering anything.
Then why can't you answer a simple question?
I would leave it to the criminal investigation to answer questions related to that.
When you talk to the FBI and you ask them how many explosives, well, let me ask you, did you ask them how many explosives were on the roof? Did they answer that question? Or in the car, excuse me. Did they answer that question for you?
Yes.
Yes. So you know the answer to that question that my colleagues had asked you. But again, you refuse to give us the answers. You're playing this wasn't me. Well, I submit to you, if you can't, and it's not a can't, it's a won't. It's not a can't, it's not a I don't know, it's a I choose not to answer the question. Well, let me tell you, Ms. Cheadle, if you're gonna lead, you need to lead. If you want to be in charge, then answer the question or step aside and have someone with the courage and the guts to answer to the American people the questions that they deserve answers to. And with that, I yield back.
I'm a yield to that. And with that, good day.